Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Around the Blockchain here on BitBoy Crypto. As you know, we teach you guys how to find your financial freedom through digital assets. My name is Jay Chains. We got a great show for you today here on Around the Blockchain. Got a fantastic guest group. We've got Joe Parys. We've got Jayson Casper. We got Tom from Crypto Busy, and we've got Arcane Bear. We are going to have a great time tonight. This is a great group of guys. Make sure, if you are watching live, that you go ahead and hit the like on this video. Also, go down into the description and like and subscribe to all of their content if you have not done already, because they work hard every single day to bring you some terrific crypto information and videos. The content is great coming out of this group. Can't wait to get into the show today. All right, before we do that, let's see. What we're going to be talking about is the crypto markets poised for some major growth in 2022. Are we going to see that? The Bitcoin is looking a little bit better than the Lira these days. And then we'll wrap it up talking about MLB NFTs through Candy Digital. All right. Before we get into the show, let's do a quick market watch because, as you know, this is a crypto channel and we do love crypto here. The market cap globally is 2.04 trillion. We are down about 2.2% on the day. Guys, it's not a green day today. It is another red day, unfortunately. We got Bitcoin coming in the high 42s, $42,872. ETH still struggling with the low 3,000s. You got BNB 478. Solana coming at number 5 with $148.98, getting close to that 150 mark. See how it does. Cardano 125, XRP 77 cents. Nice to see that away from 75 cents. I know it's been hovering there for quite some time, but all right, that's going to do for Market Watch. Let's get into this show. We're going to have a great time. Again, make sure that you like and subscribe here on BitBoy Crypto, and then in the description down below is all of the links for our guests. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Everything that they do, show them the BitSquad love. All right, first topic we're going to talk about today. Crypto markets could more than double soon. Now, it's been said that hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars, are set to flow into the Bitcoin and crypto markets, especially as U.S. inflation hits 7%, the highest level we've seen in 40 years. Let's see, the crypto market, excluding Bitcoin, has gained almost $100 billion in the last 3 days. Past trends show that $11 trillion gold market as the top choice for hedge against the dollar, especially inflated markets. But that is changing. We're seeing more and more people switching over to crypto, which, if you're in crypto, you love to see that. All right, Jayson, I'm going to start with you. First question out the gate. Now, Bitcoin has recently outperformed crude oil, the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and gold in 2021. That said, does this bring legitimacy to the crypto eyes? Does this bring legitimacy to crypto in the eyes of people who only traditionally invest in the markets such as those?
You know, I'm not sure if this specifically would legitimatize cryptocurrency in the eyes those who wouldn't usually be into it. But the truth is, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, this is the future, and governments want cryptocurrency to be the currency, right? We're already talking about central bank decentralized currencies. We know the World Economic Forum is talking about moving everybody over to the blockchain technology, and you know, I know a lot of people are looking at crypto as the savior that's going to free us and all this, but really, there's big players that want this technology to come to the forefront. They want a giant onboarding of the masses into this technology because they know that they have an opportunity to potentially enslave people with this technology by making your digital currency maybe only work at certain stores, or maybe making this digital currency only work for certain products or within a certain perimeter around where you live. And I hope that doesn't happen, but the truth is there is going to be this big push by huge players to get people onboarded into cryptocurrency. And so whether or not long-term that's good, I do think absolutely people are going to be coming into the crypto space in droves. And I know it's probably a very unpopular opinion among some people here, but that's kind of the way I see it. And yeah, this is definitely, people are starting to wake up. I just had my in-laws come to me and say, Jayson, you have to help me out with this crypto stuff. And like my old Southern grandfather who never wanted to get into Bitcoin, he's finally coming, hey, Jayson, man, you got to tell me about this Bitcoin stuff. I went on to Coinbase.com. I saw Ethereum. I saw Cardano. I saw all these things. You got to tell me. So yeah, I think it's good for crypto.
Awesome. By the way, one more point for your excellent accent there. I love the Cardano, the Ethereum, And especially when anybody says Bitcoin, that's my favorite way to say it as well, especially when you hear it from a grandpa. But all joking aside, I do appreciate your answer. Thank you very much. And it is important, man. But speaking of kind of coming in droves, let's see. Arcane Bear, I want to ask you this question because I know that you do
Well,
a lot
first
of...
off, you lied. You lied, Justin, right at the gate. At the beginning of this episode, you said I work hard every day. That is absolutely untrue.
Thank you for the clarification. You
Yeah, I
work
just want to
hard.
make sure everyone knows that is not true.
You work hard when you want to work hard, and that's
Yes, I enjoy
probably
what I do. That's true.
there you go. Maybe that's what it is. You don't have to work hard to enjoy what you do. So good on
You
you.
invited controversy. You said if there's things you want to pipe up about, I just figured
I
I'd
love
wait
it.
till it was my turn to
I
tell you
love it.
off there.
Even if you want to give me the heat, it's okay. I appreciate that. All right. So the crypto markets, we have seen some elevated exchange inflows from altcoins. Are you seeing this as a bearish or a bullish sign? Are you seeing any of the market indicators letting us know one way or the other?
Well, what's interesting, I think, about the term bearishness is right out the gate with the name Arcane Bear. A lot of people think this is a negative term of the market. A good bear is constantly accumulating. One of the things I really like about Michael Saylor's open public strategy to explaining when, where, and how he's accumulating Bitcoin shows what people should be doing, which is generally focusing on trading liability assets, which is largely what we're going to use in this context, the dollar, based off this inflationary property that we were just talking about. So this idea about hedging your bet against the dollar, like does a company or do brands or do individuals want to store the majority of their wealth in a liability, which is clearly what the US dollar is becoming. Now, when they just print trillions of dollars, the monetary supply increases dramatically. So a bull market really is kept afloat by monetary inflation. So Bitcoin, most assets are the net beneficiary. One of the really unique aspects about Bitcoin is that you have a property here that actually alludes to what Jayson was saying, where I agree. There's a potential for sovereign free choice money that's not controlled by a centralized source and authority telling you by fiat or decree that you need to use this particular money. So regardless of it's bearish or bullish, I think that if we're in an area that is in high levels of fear like we are now, these are generally good areas to accumulate. And again, if you follow what Saylor's strategy is, it's basically any price over throughout time will give you the consistent average of the price you're looking through for the next 5 to 10 years of bull market cycle. And it kind of slams in the face of profit taking. So right here, there's a kind of a difference. Are you an investor? Are you a trader here effectively? And I think the format of investing is a much more suitable, less emotional route to take. And it can fly in the face of a lot of these metrics like, oh, is it a hedge against inflation or not? Ultimately, you have a global asset that people can peer-to-peer share. Like still don't think the price point has recognized the potential of what that means over the next year. So really, I think whether it's bearish or bullish, you should be basically accumulating and subsequently almost ignoring the general price, because that's how the market takes advantage of the psychology of the first-time investor. It makes you super emotional. You see these big ups and these big downs, and it's trying to push you out of the market effectively if it's a good asset. So just basically accumulating is a surefire way to win that game, regardless of if it's bearish or bullish. So I actually don't think about whether that matters too much. Just I hope that works, Justin.
Oh, absolutely. And I love what you said. For me personally, and everybody's got their own strategy, and everyone knows that I used to leverage trade, and I had a horrible experience with it, and just kept getting wrecked in it. I've stopped leverage trading, and my quality of life has gone up because of it. Like I'll spot trade all day long, but you find the strategy that works for you. You find if you just want to sit on your coins and hold them, and that works for you, great. If you want to trade, great. You just got to find what works for you, I suppose. And don't check the price every day. That's very, very important. All right, Tom, question for you on this
How
one.
you doing?
Now, good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. Thank you very much for having us back on the show again. New year, trying to get back into it, and just super pumped for what 2022 is going to bring, especially
Absolutely.
with Bitcoin and everything.
Speaking of what 2022 is going to bring, and kind of playing off what Arcane Bear says, we said we're going to see a lot of influx coming into the market this year. A lot of institutional money is said to come in that will prop us up to that 100K mark that we've all talked about. Some of us have kind of forgotten about or no longer really care about because we know imminently it's not going to happen, but it may happen this year. Do you see this being the case? Do you think that we'll see enough institutional money coming in, and maybe that might trigger, the FOMO in from retail to get us up to the 100K mark that we're looking for?
both institutional and retail, and that's really important. You know, both work towards getting Bitcoin to that magic six-figure territory. What I would say though is that with the recent news today of Tonga pretty much copying what El Salvador has done with adopting its legal tender, and then also later on in the show we're talking about the Turkish lira. You know, there will be FOMO into this space, especially what's been seen with the previous cycles. But right now, this is the really important part. With 2022, with the inflation that we've seen already in December of last year, and continued also into this year as well, this won't affect the US dollar. This will also affect the rest of the world as well. It will also affect parts of Europe, parts of Asia, parts of Africa. Inflation is here to stay, and it's going to be one of those defining moments of this decade. And coupled with that, for the defining moment, will be Bitcoin's adoption. Nevertheless, crypto's adoption as well into the wider space. So yeah, certainly institutions across the world, you're going to see better regulation. You're probably going to see some more regulation. So regulation for the sake of regulation, which is not good regulation, but you're going to see better regulation and understanding, and senators and people who work in the government will further understand what Bitcoin is bringing to the table, what crypto is bringing to the table, and it will go from there. You'll see institutions FOMO in that sense because we've already got in the first place. But then from that, people will see institutions get in, and you'll see the retail. And inevitably, at some point, whether it's this year, whether it's further to that as well, Bitcoin certainly has the possibility and the potential to hit $100,000.
Absolutely. I really think that it will. I think it all just depends on how things go in the market. Where sentiment goes, with what happens with the XRP case. I think a lot of things that we're going to hopefully see in the next couple of months, and we just heard that that's going to be delayed. I think January 19th was supposed to be, the end of
They're just delaying the inevitable. The SEC,
right.
The SEC are delaying the inevitable there. Ripple have got this in the bag, and they understand that XRP is not a security. You look at any other country across the world, they say that XRP is not a security. It's being adopted worldwide. And it's only the States, it's only the United States that are suing Ripple Labs for XRP being a security. It is not. And, we have to understand that. And the sooner that is solved or settled, the sooner we can move on. And it doesn't just affect XRP, it would also affect the wider market as well. It will affect the whole crypto market. Ethereum has been in hot water before because of this. It's also going to affect other coins as well, not just XRP.
Absolutely.
I do...
go ahead.
I do just want to interject and say quickly that, the fact that these types of things are going on with XRP and even just regulations for the sake of regulations coming in, to me, is all proof that this is going to go absolutely bullish in the future, because you don't regulate something that's going to go away. And, obviously the huge players, governments, banks, the people who want to regulate this stuff, they're regulating it because this is going to be currency in the future. This is 100% going to be currency. I was just having this discussion with my CPA the other day. At least where I live, in 2023, they're going to start treating crypto like regular currency. So it's very interesting to see these things going on, and absolutely bullish. Even though I feel that it could be negative for us in the long term, for pumping our bags, man, definitely bullish.
And Jayson, with that thing about with Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse, like, look at the pictures of Brad Garlinghouse. He's been speaking with Christine Lagarde, who was the head of the IMF and now is the head of the European Central Banks. Look at who these people are talking to, and then you see, oh, okay, they're being sued by the SEC, but also Brad Garlinghouse is talking to Christine Lagarde, who pulls a lot of power across Europe and also across the world as well. So you got to look at it from all the sides, and I completely agree, Jayson, that the fact that they are regulating this does also means that this is not going to go away, and we're in an interesting time, that is for sure.
One of the things when it comes to regulation, and we discussed this on Around the Blockchain the other day, and I think this is actually a really important thing, at least when it comes to regulation, what we're going to see, and this could we could stop this conversation here. And really quick, Joe, before I go any farther, Joe, can we hear you now? No, I think we still can't hear him. With regulation and as things with the market, if we do go into a bear market and things slow down, I think the regulation talks are going to quiet down a little bit, because once that hype dies down, there's no need for them to start over-regulating just to over-regulate. So that's a discussion for probably a whole nother day, but it is relevant into what we're talking here. Unfortunately, Joe Parys, we cannot hear him. He can hear us, but we cannot hear him. So let's see. Arcane, I'll ask you the question I was going to ask him, and hopefully he can keep working on that audio in the interim. Now, the rejection that we saw of Bitcoin this morning at 44,000, does this prove that the derivatives market plays a significant role in the the whole asset Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? Now you're muted.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. This is one of the sentiments around of whether we're you could remix Shakespeare's idea and say beauty is in the eye of the hodler. There's a certain level of fundamental that needs to be understood when you're looking at an asset and why you would want to hold it through all the price fluctuations. Now, derivatives does add volatility, especially when there's such a little or such an illiquid supply on the market. Like if you go look at Glassnode's data right now, it's approximately 13% of all Bitcoin supply is on the open market. So subtle changes in that liquidity has a massive amount of volatility on that market. And as we've been going down in price the last little while, we've seen a lot of that market a lot of that supply that's been coming onto the market also being absorbed. So largely, it actually looks quite bullish. It looks like a last point of supply where you see big interest letting the price fall down through the supports of the regular retail spot buys and sells, breaking out most of the leverage trading. It's still quite high. The leverage trading is still quite high. And you could see a really long accumulation channel. And this is one of the reasons why I think it's so important to understand the macro thesis of an investment, which is that if I'm going to buy an asset, let's say it's accumulating between the prices of $20,000 and $20,000 like Bitcoin did between 2017 and 2020 effectively, it can be one hell of a ride to go up and then go down. But you know that if you had just kept buying every month on the 6th of the month or every new moon because you like stars or something, that this strategy effectively would give you almost a perfect right around the center market price for the next bull market. And I think a lot of the times we become way too dramatic about, okay, is the derivative market going to press it up here? And this is where leverage trading, I agree with you, Just, is probably not super healthy. It's a really quick way to lose money if you don't know what you're doing, especially if you don't have enough money to cover the downside. If you have enough money to cover the downside, a leverage trading can be great, especially in small amounts. It can be useful. But nonetheless, I think that we get caught up in this question of, okay, well, I'm going to try to look at these like on-chain indicators of the fundamentals, but note this technology has been adopted for almost 10 years now. We've had many ups and downs. It's never once stopped. It's always kept working. And I think that really the core thesis is like basically ignore the price, because it's designed to toss us around emotionally, and we focus on these semantics of TA or technical analysis. It can wash us out. Now, again, the only point that's I think notable is that between 2017 and 2020, Bitcoin went up to 20,000, down to $3,000, up to 13,000, down to $3,000, and up to 20,000 and beyond. Holding on for that ride is really difficult, and the best way to do it is basically ignore the news, which I feel is largely noise, and just go, great, I'm just going to keep investing. And you can easily make a great strategy work well over the course of 3 to 4 years here. We've seen huge upside. So just ignoring the price, like I have a great example was with Matic. We were making investments into Matic throughout 2018 and 2019 was at pennies. It went up its first 10x, and I was like, hot shit. And I took a nice chunk of profit, and only to miss out on another 230x of potential with just in this market cycle, let alone what it does over the next 10 or 20. Mm-hmm. And often what you see is more and more investors end up becoming the 10,000 Bitcoin stories, or I spent X amount of Bitcoins on this particular thing at this time, because it's really hard to measure asymmetric asset growth that just basically goes straight up over the course of 10 years. And again, that price movement is designed to shake the average investor out. So again, I think what we're seeing is just normal market movement between the big players, dumping out the supply, trying to get rid of the liquidation, and then accumulating what little Bitcoin is left on the open market that they can at as cheap a price as possible.
Awesome.
You know, you have to be careful when, we're talking about like ignoring the price and stuff like that. Because, I mean, Arcane, I hear what you're saying, man, from an investing standpoint. But, a lot of people are coming into these markets, and if they're investing in something, they actually have to pay attention to the price, because so many people I know have lost so much money throwing money into Bitcoin, into crypto, ignoring the price. They get absolutely wrecked. And I am a leverage trader.
Yeah, but
You know,
this is
that's
on a
what I pretty
short,
much
very,
do
these are
full
very,
time.
you're dealing with very short time frames. People need to look at a much longer story here. I bought my first Bitcoin when they were like 90 bucks. I've been through the ringer. We've lost. There's been hack. Oh, you deal with the whole gamut of things that can go wrong throughout an investment thesis. And
Hey,
too
I've been
small
there
of a
too,
time
man.
horizon is definitely one of the key
I
killers,
think
I think,
guys,
for most people's
I think
investments.
that
Yeah.
I hear you both. I hear you both. But I think at the end of the day, you do have to ask yourself, and this differs from person to person. You have to ask yourself, what lifestyle do you have? You know, do you have a 9 to 5? Are you a student? Are you retired, and do you have more time? And then going from that and deciding what lifestyle you have, and understanding that, and then pointing into what trader you are. So, are you a day trader, or are you sort of a long-term investor? And that's something you have to decipher for yourself. Something we cover here at Crypto Busy is the leverage trading, and is the the sort of the day trading as well. But we also cover what can happen on the longer term, as you mentioned, Arcane Bear. Like on a longer term, Bitcoin is here to stay, and this is the real world adoption of it. But also, let's have a look at the price action, because we see an opportunity here to make some profit along the way, and also look into risk management along with that as well. So you can have both. You can have your cake and you can eat it, guys. It can be both things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, throughout your crypto journey, throughout your investing journey, you will find there will become a time where, oh, I'm more of a day trader, or I'm more of a swing trader, or more of a long-term investor. And that is a journey that you go through by yourselves. It's not something you sort of decide from day dot. It may be something that you're
Yeah, for
inspired,
sure.
but then you may find something along the way. And that's something to look into there as well.
Awesome. Jayson, you got one more thing to say on it?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, I hear what you guys are saying, absolutely, and it's just important, I think, that people understand, like what Tom was saying, that they know what they want from their investment, because, like, there's people on the leverage trading side that get wrecked, there's people on the long-term investment side that get wrecked just because they're not educated. So whenever you're going to invest in anything, you need to make sure that you understand your goals and your time horizon and all that stuff. Otherwise, you could really hurt yourself if you're going to try and put all your money into Bitcoin randomly or into any crypto randomly.
Always diversify your bag. Don't hodl just one coin. All right, let's move on to the lightning round. The question about today is really, talking about what we said. The gold market cap's 11 trillion. Right now, the Bitcoin market cap is under $1 trillion, obviously. But the question is, in 10 seconds or less, Jayson, I'll start with you. 5 years from now, will the Bitcoin market cap be large? More or less than 5 years from now, will the Bitcoin market cap be larger than gold? Jayson, Casper, you can go first on that.
I honestly don't know. I'm going to just say I have no idea. I'm not even going to try and answer it.
All right. No answer from Jayson. What do you think, Tom?
Yes, I think it will be within the next 5 years, because within the next 5 years, you'll see the effects of hyperinflation across the world, and you'll see more countries adopt Bitcoin as well. And then from that, you'll see, with the adoption of that, you'll see countries adopting more Bitcoin than gold. So yes, I think in that time frame. Yeah,
absolutely, awesome. And then Arcane, what about you?
Oh yeah, definitely a plausibility there. You have a huge amount of value potential in this sector that's still totally unrecognized and just at the verge of being discovered. So I don't think we've even seen a blip of what the market can do as a whole, and Bitcoin leading the way.
Bitcoin's going to lead the way, but I think once we get a lot of this blockchain play to earn metaverse gaming going, that is going to change the name of the game 100%. All right.
Yeah, right there. We're right there with that. We agree. I agree with this statement.
All right, a point for you for that. All right, let's move on to the next topic. We're going to be talking about Turkey, kind of switching away from, at least the citizens of Turkey switching away from the Lira, opting for Bitcoin and Tether. Before we get into this, make sure that you guys like this video. Not for me, just because I'm asking you, for Jayson, for Tom, for Arcane, and for the ghost of Joe Parys. I think that the audio just didn't quite work out for him today, so it looks like he hopped off because he's frozen. But
he's been silenced by the SEC.
That's what I saw in the chat, so we're gonna go with that.
Yeah.
If you don't like Joe Parys being silenced by the SEC, you make sure that you like this video right now, and you let those folks know that we're not happy about that. All right. So the Turks used to keep their savings in USD and gold, and now they are choosing crypto, especially Bitcoin and Tether. Now, due to the current economic situation in the country, Turkey's fiat currency, the Lira, has not stopped depreciating for several weeks now, and chain analysis has showed that crypto trading volumes using the Lira reached a 5-quarter high in Q4 of 2022. Jayson, is this a classic case of Clay Christensen's disruption theory, where crypto adopted by countries with weak or unstable currencies, they build up, and then that's when they tack high-end capability as their capabilities grow?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very interesting to see what's happening in Turkey, that people are moving into cryptocurrency. I mean, I know President Erdogan, or as the Southern folks say, President Erdogan, he's been trying real hard to be friendly with the European Union, and they have just continuously done bad things to him, right? And so I do think that it's very interesting to see that they are adopting cryptocurrencies, specifically Bitcoin and Tether, and getting rid of the dollar and gold. I think maybe I would have rephrased my lightning round answer to say, yes, potentially Bitcoin market cap would exceed gold within the next 5 years. But honestly, this is very interesting for me because it's showing me that this technology and where currency in general is heading is definitely blockchain. And it's interesting to see the chain of events playing out where in a sense, things that geopolitically have happened to Turkey are forcing them into using cryptocurrency and blockchain technology as opposed to the fiat system, which we know mathematically is going to collapse at some point, has to. So, it's definitely very interesting to see this happening, and I'm curious to see how it continues to play out. And if we hear any more about this, and if we see something like this happening in other countries or even in the West as well, as our economies continue to go down into the toilet bowl,
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm right there with you, man. It's really interesting. Tom, question for you now. Then this one is about they're kind of switching over. Yeah, it was Bitcoin and Tether. Now, obviously, Tether's not backed by anything. So now that could be a debate in itself, right? What would you say to caution people who are saying, "Oh, I'm tethering off. I'm putting everything in Tether." Where if you're in this industry, they can print as much of it as they want. Is that the right move for people to, if you're getting out of a asset or a fiat currency to get into something that might just implode at any moment? Is that the smart choice?
Yeah, it's a good question, because that is the age-old question. What do you do with your profits? What do you do with getting out of the market? And I would say that when we get out of the market, when we take some profits, we go into USDC, because there's a bit more. I find there's a bit more transparency there with USDC. There are other ones as well. I mean, there's UST, and then some other ones that that have a bit more transparency in terms of what it is. But that is again, it's the age-old question. What do you do with your profits? Do you put it back into the dollar, which is now it's pretty much tanking, and then also with the inflation, if you look at the dollar index as well, that's also not going well. So you have to look into all these things. What I would say is that have a holistic view when it comes to crypto. Crypto is one of these assets. It's a new asset class. It's been around for 13 years. But there's also gold, and gold's been around as a precious metal for thousands of years, the stock market for hundreds of years, and these aren't going anywhere anytime soon. As much as Bitcoin may overtake gold, gold is still going to have that underlying value to a lot of people. So have a holistic view and look into your portfolio overall. And so, when you have into your crypto portfolio, you may say, 20% Bitcoin, 40% Ethereum, or whatever it may be, and then go into the altcoins. But then you have your overall portfolio. And so, you may have a stock portfolio, which is like, say, 30% of your net worth, and then you have cash, which may be like another 10%, 20%, even sometimes 50 or more than that, because regardless of whether crypto is going to be the next big thing, we still need cash day to day, or actual like a card, whatever it may be, that credit card, debit card, to actually buy your goods and services. As much as it is good to see Tonga, El Salvador, and also the citizens of Turkey adopt Bitcoin and use it, it is also cash is also used from day to day. So for the time being, in the interim, look into the holistic view of that all, and that's what I would say for people who are getting into crypto.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right, Arcane. Last question on this Turkey. Last question on this Turkey stuff comes to you.
Let's rant.
Let's go. Now, when you're thinking about rug pulls, would you consider things that are happening in countries like Turkey, Venezuela, what happened in Zimbabwe, where they have just inflated their currency to not even a usable status? Would you consider that to be like the real life equal to a rug pull?
Actually, this is a fun question because I wanted to dive into this area specifically. So if you look over the Federal Reserve minutes, they're also talking about basically liquidating some, I don't know, I think it was like a few trillion dollars plus on their balance sheet from securities and mortgage-backed bonds that they owned. So effectively, the Central Bank of the United States of America, Federal Reserve, is the composite operator of this market. So there's a screen I wanted to share to kind of help highlight this idea. And I think it's important to understand because it's largely, again, it's these macro timeframes that are hard for us to grasp unless we look at it. So one of the fun things about technicals is it shows us kind of where we're at. We can't see the bottom of the screen there, so I'll move it up here. Okay, so this is the S&P 500 over the last, let's see, there we go. That way you can see all the screen now. So this is the S&P 500 since on the far left hand of the screen, this is the early 1990s. And here it is all the way to where we are in 2021. As we get closer, this green line that you see here is actually the M2 supply. So this is M2SL. This is the monetary supply from the Federal Reserve. And it's really interesting to see the growth of the stock market and the growth of the M2 supply, especially this particular area here, which is the beginning of the pandemic, and this massive increase in monetary supply effectively. So the only game in town right now, effectively, is the printing of dollars. Right, this entire shenanigan of a system is held up on dollars. So, it's a really interesting concept about, inflation goes really slow at first. There's a fantastic book. It's called The Dying of Money. It takes you over like a bunch of different, like what happened in Argentina, what happened in Venezuela, what happened in the United States, and the Weimar Republic, and noting that you've got thousands of years of culture, whether it's the Chinese or whether it's the Romans, they all do the same thing. They degrade their currencies, assets go through explosion in valuations of price because they're the only thing that have any real underlying value. It's just paper currency by the time they're done totally degrading it. And what's unique about this particular moment in hyperinflation is you have a global monetary system where all these extra dollars of inflation can find themselves hidden in small islands around the world or different parts of countries. You don't see it on Main Street, United States of America. But where you can see it, and where I think, again, it is very noticeable how this game is played, is coming directly from the S&P 500 and the monetary reserve sheet. So if they start to liquidate those, 8 trillion? Is that what it says there on there? It says the regulatory bond also mentioned the disposal of a sizable chunk of government bonds to the tune of $8 trillion. Jeez. If you don't know what $8 trillion of selling pressure would do to the market, it would destroy it. So they are the only game in town, effectively. I don't think there's Vanguard. I don't think BlackRock is anywhere near that. So effectively, if the Federal Reserve wanted to, they can do what they want with these markets, and the monetary supply shows it to the upside. And if they wanted to drop out this $8 trillion in excess funds onto the public hands, nobody's going to be there to buy it up. It's basically. So I think understanding that. This again is why, like the long-term thesis here is that assets are ultimately a great or a much better store of value than any form of currency. So as long as you're operating on a day-to-day, again, I think that the question is, could we see more downside from anything coming from the Federal Reserve or any of these excess funds coming onto the market? Absolutely. 8 trillion is an unimaginable amount of money.
Right. It's insane. I can't even imagine that. You're right. Well, thank you. That was actually a very enlightening answer. I appreciate you, Arcane Bear. I'm going to give you one more point for educating all of us here today. It does look like Joe Parys is back in the crowd. I wonder if we could hear him. Nope. Still can't hear you. I know you can hear us, but we can't hear you. All right. We're going to hop onto the last topic. But before we do that, I'm showing just under 1,000 likes. Guys, if you are in the chat, if you are watching live right now, just exit out really quick. Throw up a like and make sure that we get over 1,000 because we're asking. Because again, these folks are up here. We wouldn't want to say working hard. We're having fun, but bringing you some great information. All right, let's hop into the last topic. We are going to make it quick because we're kind of running a little bit over, but that is all right. The Candy Digital is launching a marketplace for Major League Baseball NFTs. Now, the company Candy Digital is a secondary marketplace, and it's going to allow users to buy and sell previously released, officially licensed Major League Baseball NFTs. The company was founded by some pretty high ups there. It's Michael Rubin. He's the CEO of Fanatics. We got Mike Novogratz. Everyone knows him. And then Gary Vee. Those are the three founders of this entity. Let's see. Jayson, let's start with you on this. Now, Candy is using a fiat first approach, meaning you can just go to their website, you just put in your email address and a credit card, and you can buy an NFT. Now, does this give a very easy barrier to entry for folks who maybe aren't crypto savvy that want to get involved in NFTs? And all you got to do is swipe your card and you're in the game. And from there, you can start to learn more about the ecosystem and the industry as a whole, and then, move over to like OpenSea or CNFT.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great opportunity for people. Like most people have never heard of OpenSea, but people are starting to hear about NFTs. I was just listening to NPR the other day when I was driving in the car, which is where I usually drive, and I heard something about NFTs. Right, so this is definitely going to open up the door for people to get into their Major League Baseball, something that lots of people are into, and there's definitely big names here, and so yeah, absolutely, man.
I agree with you, and that's my next question, Tom. Coming to you, big names here. I mean, the names I wrote up: Mike Novogratz. You got Gary Vee.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I think we heard Joe there. With such heavy hitters running this entity, Candy Digital, are we going to see them level up the NFT space?
I completely agree. I think they will. I think they will level up the NFT space. And seeing NFTs elsewhere as well. I believe Serena Williams on Twitter the other day, she changed her Twitter profile to an NFT. And then Meek Mill, I believe he tweeted out saying the other day, saying like something like, you need to have an NFT or an Ethereum address to hear my next album, something like that. So it's becoming to the mainstream, and to hear major players such as the ones you've mentioned, especially Gary Vee, big fan of Gary Vee as well. And he's also very much into NFTs as well. It's going to be good to see, and that is sort of an entry for, I think, the masses to get into crypto that way. Regardless of whether it may be the first time you get into crypto is through Coinbase or Binance, go through the NFT routes, which you could be seeing, such as with MLB or a season ticket you could get and purchase. And that would be an NFT itself. That is where the interesting side of blockchain and crypto comes to fruition. And you can sort of get out of the charts of the 5-minute charts for just 1 second, and you can delve into what's happening, in the NFT space, and then also what's happening in many other places as well. So yeah, the NFTs is going to be a big thing. It will also be a big driving force for further adoption of crypto overall, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, especially with, we were talking a second ago, Arcane Bear, especially before we got on the air, was about play to earn gaming and all that stuff. And the more that they integrate NFTs into that, it's only just going to make that ecosystem that much bigger. All right. Yeah. Last question of the day, Arcane, is going to come to you. This is, about things. Now, products previously sold on the marketplace OpenSea are not going to be allowed on this marketplace for whatever reason, anything on OpenSea. And there was one other NFT exchange that was listed, but it's not as big as OpenSea. Now, last year, the NFT marketplace of Candy Digital grew from 0 to 80,000 customers, created over 750 unique NFTs across 7 product lines, and released 200,000 unique digital assets. Do you think this company will, in the future, be a major competitor to already established platforms like OpenSea?
Great question. It's interesting to see how communities evolve. One of the real strong suits about OpenSea was that there's this kind of unique idea of digital collectibles that was birthed there from the digitally native crypto community to begin with, right? Whereas when you're talking about Candy Digital or another company that we invested early in is Quid, who has rights to a lot of bigger brands material as well. They have a much easier onboarding process. They appeal to the average individual and the collectors that are out there. But again, what's unique about, I think, OpenSea and what helps it as a standalone is it was built largely around the community of people that were developing within the ecosystem at that time. Same with Solana. We've seen like the Monkey Business, Solana chicks. Like you see a community of developers and creators that start collaborating together. And effectively, I think that's really hard to outpace, right? For instance, look at the name like Banksy. Banksy's ability to create some a certain particular niche style of branding and community has been able to give him like a lifelong brand. And I think that OpenSea will effectively have a lifelong stability because of that niche that it appealed to in the early days. Whereas I think that where Candy Digital is going with like basketball cards or something, or baseball or whatever. Like I don't watch sports. I have no idea. I would never end up on that website. I think that you're also probably seeing a disconnect between the two different worlds. Like OpenSea reminds me more of Banksy than like a collector Michael Jordan card, I think. So OpenSea reminds me of that more eclectic area, and I think that we've seen that with Solana as well. So I don't think they're even in the same vertical necessarily, aside from that they are NFTs.
Okay. That's a great answer. Thank you very much. And with that being said, that takes us to the end of the show for today. Arcane Bear, you do have the most amount of points. I was looking to give this to Joe, kind of as a pity win, but he is unfortunately not able to hear or speak to us at this point. I think he is logged off. I am kidding, Joe. Next time, we definitely look forward to having you on and being able to hear you. But Arcane Bear, you did win the show for today. That means you can leave us with your parting words.
Well, I guess we'll tell everyone to follow Joe, because he didn't even get to get a word in. We always want the silenced voices to be heard from those who choose to silence them, right? I think everyone can rally behind that idea for an end applause. Oh, thank Justin there for hosting such a great show. Tom, Crypto Busy, and Jayson as well. Great to chat with you guys. Thanks for the fun conversations. I'm Tio from the Arcane Bear. You can find me just by typing that in on the internet. We focus mostly on early venture capital signal finding. We like to think about fringe ideas and talk to the people that might change the world.
Awesome, man. Well, I love it. It was a great show today. Definitely Jayson, Tom, and Arcane had a great time chatting with you guys. Love your perspective. Love your answers. Thanks to everybody that watched. Thanks to everybody that watched in the chat and that will watch later. Make sure that you follow everything that these guys are doing down in the description. We'll take you to their channels. All right, that's all we got time for today. We will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern here on Around the Blockchain. Have yourself a great night.
Thank you.